You want to bring that down some, Kane?
I do it
right there. Bring it. Not that. Tilt it.
Oh.
Hey, we looking all up in Jupiter. There you go.
You're listening to FFYL Radio with your host Markane and River Brown on WIIT 88.9 FM.
It's your man Markane.
It's your boy River Brown
on the FFYL show.
on WIIT Radio. What up, world?
Also check us out on FFYL Live on Instagram or tune in on WIIT 88.9 FM.
Let's get it.
No.
Thank you for listening to the Fight for Your Life Radio Show with your hosts Markane Allen and Ripper Brown. Be sure to follow us and subscribe on YouTube at FFYL Radio. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at FFYL Radio Show. Yes, FFYL Radio Show. Be on the lookout for our audio books and projects entitled Rip City, A Train's Love, and Kane. We're on WIIT 88.9 FM, but catch us on the internet at radio.iit.edu. That's radio.iit.edu. And remember, don't stop. Keep fighting for your life.
No. Alright, that's cool. Let's go with that. What's up? It is wacky. What is it, Kane? Wacky Wednesday. It is wacky, weird Wednesday today, but it's also everything Malcolm X. We like to bring you in and say thank you for tuning in today. You see Kane, well, you can't see Kane if you're not online. He's on live. He's got the Malcolm X old school joint. Kane, that joint looks pretty new, man.
Yeah, man. I took care of it, man. I got it as a gift. You know what I'm saying? So I took care of it.
I might have to check that date and stamp of that one to make sure we see. Because I'm not sure of that. That looks very well preserved, my brother. Man, so what's going on with you, brother? What's happening today?
Another day, another dollar.
Another day, another dollar. I got you with that one, man. Today's weather is a little stuffy too.
It rained and the sun came out.
And the sun came out. I'm over it, man. I'm over it. Let's just move it on over this joint and just make it happen. What do you think?
It's just proof that, after rain comes sunshine.
After rain comes the sunshine, man. I'm telling you. How was your driving today?
Oh, man, it was lovely, man. Like I told you, I think because all the kids are out of school, I was just floating between lanes, in and out of lanes.
Doing his best Freddie Flintstone type of thing, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's what it is, man. So tell me, did you work out today, brother? You did
Not
work
yet.
out today?
Not yet.
No.
I started work at 4 a.m. this morning, and I've been just moving ever since.
Understood. I didn't work out either. Did not work out today, which was cool because it really was my day off. I mean, I could have went in and did a little something, but I did get my 225 push-ups though.
Yeah, I'll probably get those in a little later.
Chest is exploding.
Hey, one thing I was trying to explain to somebody about fitness, right? So for people who are just starting, let's say somebody's starting a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've done a year of working out. One time a day, they strength training, they cardio. Let's just say they're doing it right. They started out wrong, they started out doing just cardio, now they're doing both of them, right? After 2-3 months, they do both of them. They do their strength, they do their cardio, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now in a year, they've worked out, if it's 365 days, it's 365 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
I tell people all the time, I've worked out more than that in a series of 2-3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So to get clients and people to understand that, like, don't expect to catch up to us like that. Unless you do something crazy extreme, like you diet and you supplement and you pounding it out, like get your 2 hours in or whatever. But you don't expect to catch up to somebody who's been doing it for 25 years plus, and we used to do 2-3 workouts a day, you know what I'm saying, or 4 workouts a day or something like that. It's like you're not gonna catch up. So it's almost like we're the unicorns walking around.
Exactly.
And it's like, so being in that maintenance era of fitness, it's like, I'll work out, but it's like, do I have to compound myself like a person who just started? Nah, not really.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't. No, you don't.
We push the heat, you know, when we ready, you know, sometimes when we need to, but it's like, other than that, it's like, even if you work out for a straight year, you're still not going to catch.
Oh, yeah.
You're still not going to catch us.
No, you're not going to catch us. You're going to have to put some time in. We've got years and we've got decades under our belt. What can you say? Yeah. So, but listen, tell us what's going on new. We got some exciting news with the FFYL here.
Yeah, man, we are launching mad things right now. We got bags, we got new hats, we got new shirts, we got new lines coming out. It's just, we all over the place. We got headbands about to jump off. We got, man, working on the leggings coming. We just got, man, trying to have everything. We got our radio gear on this way coming out. We're doing big things. We're doing big things. And the radio show is also doing private productions now, where we are promoting a show every second Thursday of every month for the swim team. It'll be the Swim Team Radio Show. Swim Team Radio Show. The Swim Team is a group of national independent underground artists that are trying to change the narrative of music. You know, I interviewed a lot of these younger brothers, and I'm sure it's some sisters in there too that I heard, but I interviewed them, man, and they really want people to know that Chicago isn't what you see on TV.
Exactly.
Or it's not just what you see on TV. You know, there were artists here that performed this past Saturday. Were from different states. Some of them have taken their music from, you know, from wherever their city is to Paris and France and England and Italy, and, you know, different countries. You know, so they are really trying to show that the talent isn't just one lane when it comes to music. And it's a good thing, man. It's good to see some young positive music, you know, brothers and sisters. And they got their styles, but very, very positive. And I was at their showcase doing what we also do, security, you know.
Saving the world one stinking pod at a time.
Yeah, so, but to hear some of their stuff, like live after hearing their story, oh man, it was amazing. It was amazing. I had our security guy, other security guy, which was my son upstairs, and I'm texting him like, who is that? Oh man, that sounds good. That sounds dope. Who is that? Who is that? You know.
And that was held at the dispensary.
Yeah, dispensary, Econo Life, right over here on 35th.
Yeah, Econo Life. Yeah, right there, 35th and like King Drive.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was held by our brother Gerald West, also known as Cuzzo.
Cuzzo and Cujo, I call it Cujo. Yeah, I really didn't realize that. Really like, how come you didn't tell me, bro? He's like, hey, you was just you was relaxed to it. And you just like, okay, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So listen, we definitely got the FFYL radio gear. We're coming out with that shortly. It's taken a little longer than what we thought, but hey, that's business sometimes. I think I'm gonna have to go in there with a hammer and get it done. What do you think? A couple of baseball bats,
break an ankle or something.
We don't condone violence, people. We don't condone, or at least you won't see it, but we don't condone. We do not condone violence, definitely. So listen. What's my name? What's my name? Well, it is 11 minutes after the hour here at 12 o'clock, man. This is all and everything Malcolm X today, and we'll get right to it. So listen, we'll be right back. We're gonna play a few tunes and maybe pay a water bill or two or pay some bills. We'll be right back. Uncle had it done, my other aunt had it done.
Could we live?
You have Elijah number, man? Oh. I'm gonna have to find another way to play this music, man. It should be killing me, man.
Do we have an iPhone?
Another iPhone?
Does we have an iPhone?
No. I don't think we do. Dude, what you call him? What y'all looking at?
Delroy Lindo, thank you, man.
Delroy Lindo. Man, can we play some of Malcolm? Yeah, let's find this interview. But you may have to talk so I can set it up, man. It's killing me, man. It's just pissing me off, man.
Yeah, find one of those interviews Rob, I read that book about 5 times. Like I said, it's one of my heroes, idols.
Anything you can talk about in his earlier years or something right off?
Yeah. I know the history of parents and everything. Yeah, I was excited to do this one because this is like this was
Oh, when you're not next to me. Can't you see I lose control when you're not next to me, baby? Pulling my heart down, whatever he's saying. 15 minutes after that, we're here. I lose control when you're not here with me. We're gonna leave that alone. Okay, let's do it.
all right. I gotta say, man, that song there, I had heard it once before, and I forgot dude's name until you started putting it in our playlist. So I gotta thank you for that, brother. All right, so today is everything Malcolm X. So I don't give as much history as I know. I read the autobiography of Malcolm X when I was a child, and Malcolm X actually became one of my idols and my heroes. And I actually used to tell people in the neighborhood that they needed to take in and read the autobiography of Malcolm X. I really valued that book as a 9-year-old young man. I went around spreading the word about it in the neighborhood. I also, at that time, in my life of history, they were selling Malcolm X t-shirts and Dr. King t-shirts everywhere, because at that time, we respected and loved our history, and we were real big on letting the world know that we wanted to be proud of the leaders that came before us that made things happen for us. Ooh. She's back, brother, you all right?
I am back and I am okay, brother. Just had to step out for a few seconds. Yeah, so you are alive, my brother. Elijah X is here, and we're here to talk about a few things. As we said again, today is everything Malcolm X. I'm going to have them talk about a few things. I'm going to do a little research myself real quick and make it happen.
Yeah. How everybody doing out there in radio land? But tomorrow is Juneteenth, and we're still fighting that fight right now that Malcolm fought, Nat Turner fought, Denmark Vesey for it. So Malcolm X is, we celebrated his birthday, 100 years, of his birth. And just to think, he's been gone for 60 years now. He was 39 when he was murdered. And if you look at your age and what you was doing at 39, to say right now, this man wasn't even 40. He's been gone 60 years. And I want you to just put that into your mind, what 60 years look like. And today in 2025, we're still dealing with the same situations that Malcolm X faced and all of our ancestors, and like the brother said, back in the day, 30 years ago, 35 years ago, even 20 years ago, we was passing around books. We was passing around literature and education about, who Malcolm was. And, hip hop did a great, a great thing, hip hop did for Brother Malcolm and just black colleges, the Malcolm X, there's the black college the jerseys that was being worn back then, and that was kicked off really by Bill Cosby and Spike Lee with School Days and when they did the spinoff of A Different World. So all that tags along with the legacy of Malcolm X and Dr. King and men and women like that, but you need to really reflect in 2025 on what's really going on till this day.
I love my X hat, man. I swear, I'm gonna find X hats again, man. I love my X hat. I just wear my X hat until that bad boy was dirty and dusty.
Well, if I think you got to go on a 40 Acre and the Mule website.
Yeah.
If they still, because that's who was pushing the X hats. When Spike Lee had his 40 Acre and a Mule gear, that was crushing.
Can I tell you, brothers, a little short set story real quick about how serious I was about Malcolm X? So mom's moved from Chicago to Hammond, Indiana. When we moved to Hammond, Indiana in the 80s, I was little, moving third, fourth grade or whatever. But I would collect Malcolm X shirts and Dr. King shirts. Remember the graffiti style shirts? They had Malcolm face all on the back and the front.
Yeah.
So I moved to Indiana, all white school, with 7 Malcolm X shirts that I was wearing every day and Dr. King shirts. So the only black kid wearing this stuff in the all white school. And I will give respect to Ms. Rednar, Ms. Garalchek, because they decided in February to teach all my friends in class history, my cultural history, black history. And they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to teach a bunch of white kids black history just because I was the only kid in class. So I really give respect to that. And I was the kid who was wearing kufis on field trips and stuff like that. And no one forced me to change. And one experience I had was I was playing baseball with a few of my friends in the neighborhood that's well-to-do in Indiana. And my friend's dad brought me in the house and he said, hey, not me, but he said, I gotta say, your mom, go crazy if something happened to you while you're here. But he bought me a starter jersey, White Sox starter jersey. He said, you from the south side of Chicago? I said, yeah. He said, you like the White Sox? I said, yeah. And he said, I want you to wear this jersey. He said, because a lot of people around here are open-minded, because me and my wife are. And he said, if something happened to you, they're gonna find out how much I was a part of the struggle when I was a young man. And I was like, whoa, and I'm a little kid, like, whoa, But I'm just telling that story to tell people that even in the midst of me learning this history, coming from a black conscious household, my mom moved to an area where it was all white, where people didn't think like that. People didn't feel like that. They wasn't accepting that. Not to say that there weren't people around in the area that was like that ill thought, that evil thought, that devilish thought. But where I was at, it wasn't like that. So the confusion as a child was like, oh my God, mom showed me the Emmett Till story, and mom, telling me this and telling me that, and we learning this and learning this in the house, and I get here, and it's like, whoa, they accepted of Malcolm X. They want to talk to me about Malcolm X. They want to know what I know as a child about Malcolm X. And they're telling me stories of when they walked where he was at or went to school where he was at. So, we have to, learn and grow too. we're dealing with so much in 2025, but be careful when you pull your knife or your gun on, because you never know if that might be an ally, you know, or a friend.
True. And we want you all just to listen in for a second.
We girls today with no badge and no black.
All right, so how we gonna attack this, y'all? How you want to attack? What do you want to go next?
Talk about my mother. You know, my mother was there when Malcolm got killed.
Okay.
So, you know, she talked to me. She was a 19-year-old girl when that happened. She was in the nation before my father got into the nation. You know, my father came in, my mother's from New York, so it was a whole different vibe. My father, when he came into the nation, he came in from South Carolina, from Charleston. And he was on the run from some stuff with the police, and his mom sent him up there to live with his brother. So my father, you know, he's actually here now, but he came into the nation after Malcolm got killed. My mother was there before Malcolm got killed.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? So, and I had a chance to talk to John Carlos, the Olympics. Malcolm used to let him walk with him and roll with him.
Yeah.
And he was actually on his way to a track meet and heard it on the radio that Malcolm was murdered. And they turned the car around. So that was 65. 68, King got killed. So he came with the black fist. It wasn't Tommy Smith. Tommy Smith was a bumpkin from Texas. He wasn't, you know, back in them days, if you was really outside of, you know, Detroit, New York, California, Philadelphia, places like that, it wasn't a radical thing. Those Southern guys was what you called good niggas.
And this was the picture. Yeah, because I know one of them put on a sock.
Yeah, well, Tommy raised his left hand because he raised his right hand because he had the glove, but it had nothing. That was all planned by John Carlos. You know, because that's what he was doing. And what happened in the 60s and in the 70s, cats came down south from New York. You know what I'm saying? And when they came in from the East Coast, they started educating the Southern boys that wasn't aware of these movements that's going on. You know, and even Freaknik itself wasn't started by Atlanta people. Freaknik was started by New York, Philadelphia, cats from up north. They had the gathering, and then it spun into that. Yeah. So the way you attack Malcolm X right now is like, it's just that it's so many lanes to that guy. You know,
I got a relative that's married to
Huh?
John. I got a relative that's married to John Carlos, I believe. Or it might, I can't remember. I know she's married to somebody, one of the players who had their fist up, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, like literally,
Yeah, we got a chance. Me and John 2 years ago, it was 2023. We talked for like 2 hours.
All right, so listen, how do we come back in?
X marks the spot.
I'm saying, how are you gonna come back in? What is it that you're gonna talk about? Not a wide realm. Give us a story. Give us a note.
I'm gonna talk about, you know, what Malcolm meant to me coming from the Nation of Islam.
Gotcha.
And just my experience of growing up in the nation, my mother being there when he got murdered, and all that, you know, just to roll that lane right there, and you know how he was special to us. You know, he was a special guy. You know, the Ballad of the Bullet.
Gotcha.
That's today.
Okay.
You know, he warned us about the Democratic Party. You know, he was warning us. Yeah, he was warning us about the Democratic Party. You know, he was calling them the fox. You know, the liberal was the fox, and that's what the liberal do. Liberal was the fox.
Understood.
So how was your morning, man?
It was cool, man. Got my ass up and just came over here, had me a protein shake. Did about 225 push-ups out there.
Out there.
It was good morning. Good morning. I can't lie. Just trying to keep everything in front of me, man. Stay positive about what's going on, but I do understand what's going on. You understand right now when you're kicking that door and it's gonna pull on you, baby.
Oh man.
It's gonna pull on you and show you everything to deter you.
Well,
Okay?
well, right now, black people, we're in a great position because more black people are awakening to what's really going on. See, back in the day, you used to dumb us down with the pastors and the reverends. That was slavery. Then you went to the academia. The academics dumbed you down. They started doing the bidding for the thing. And then they went to the celebrities.
Yeah.
And they started using the celebrities because when hip hop kicked off, there was no political alignment in hip hop. We was against the system itself.
Got you.
Hip hop didn't play that you a Democrat versus Republican. That didn't come into after Bill Clinton got
All
elected.
right, we're coming back in. I'm gonna speak for a second. I'll pass you the mic. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Man, today is Everything Malcolm right here on WIIT 88.9 FM, and you are listening to the Fight for Your Life radio show with
Markane Allen.
Ripper Brown and our guy,
Elijah to the X.
Elijah to the X. He's here also. Well, listen, it is 28 minutes after the hour. Once again, today is Everything Malcolm. Let's make it happen.
Yes. I'm gonna talk about Malcolm because he holds a special part in my heart. My father named me Elijah. That's on my birth certificate because my parents was in the Nation of Islam. And my father joined the Nation after Malcolm died, but my mother was in the Nation before Malcolm died. And she was actually there when he was murdered. She was a 19-year-old girl at the time. And it really did something to her at that moment because it was like, wow, this actually happened. And, to pass down that legacy of knowledge to her children. And, the children, sometimes when we speak about our ancestors like they're here today. And that's how you keep them alive for the next generation to actually know. Now, and a couple of years ago, I had a chance to talk to John Carlos. And if you don't know who John Carlos is, was at the 1968 Olympics down in Mexico. And he was the bronze medal winner. He held up the black fist. Well, he was from New York. He was from Harlem. And he actually used to run with Malcolm as a young guy. And he told me, we talked for like 2 hours about Malcolm and some other things. And he was just telling me like, he created that. He went to Tommy Smith and said, yo, we need to raise the black fist. And there was so much that was happening, in reference to Malcolm. But in 1968, Dr. King got murdered. You see, so it was like a lot of emotions because they took out a lot of our leaders. 1968, and then 1969, they took out Fred Hampton. And Fred was a Marxist because he was dealing with classism, but we don't deal with classism. This is racism. This is straight up and down racism, what we got going on right now till this day. So, Malcolm X, the battle of the bullet, how he talked about these cunning, deceitful Democrats, as well as these openly racist Republicans. And right now, black people are really waking up right now to what their voting power means. We have to be about ourselves. We have to draw a line. There's a line that needs to be drawn in the sand, whether it's imaginary or literally a line in the sand, like we do not cross if it's not something that benefits us. So when you look at Dr. King, you look at Malcolm X, you look at Fred Hampton, you look at all these powerful men, and the first person they take out in the community and wipe out is the men. It's not the women. You wipe out the men first, and then you have control of the women and the children. So, Malcolm, he represented that. And he had all girls. So he was like one of the original girl dads. And they stood on his shoulders. So, we still talk about him. And like I said, tomorrow's being Juneteenth with this fake holiday that Joe Biden gave us. We didn't ask for a holiday, we asked for reparations. Because we've been celebrating Juneteenth.
Yeah.
We've been celebrating Juneteenth since 1865, 1866, 1867.
There's nothing new.
There's our celebration of it. This is not a Hallmark holiday. You know, we didn't never went to them stores to get our goods. We made our Juneteenth t-shirts. We made these things. So this is not a calendar holiday. This is real life. You know, so I tell anybody, if you're partying tomorrow, if you partying right now for Juneteenth, we need to cut that out because we still got work to do.
Yeah.
This is not a holiday where you get high and drunk and get off your square. This is something that you should knuckle down on
Sharpen your tools.
because we are dealing with some real life hate right now. And you can't simplify it. You know, Malcolm X is a beacon. Dr. King is a beacon. You know, you have to look at those men for who they were at that time. Those was the solid guys because they was going into treacherous territory. Like, there was no false narratives. You know, people was like, yeah, you come here, we're gonna try to kill you.
Oh yeah.
And Dr. King said something in one of his speeches. He was like, I don't worry about them talking about it because if they're gonna come do it, they're not gonna talk about it. So why am I gonna be scared?
Yeah.
You know, and for them men to lay their life on the lines, you should stand up, especially the men. You should be standing up tall because you still got shoulders to stand on, you know. And that's what Malcolm X and all those people mean to me. It's like a organ in my body. I can't function without it.
Well, let's talk more about how your mom, her reactions and memories, with her actually being there at the ballroom that day when that happened.
Oh,
When his murder occurred.
She was like, it was chaos. You know, they was trying to revive him. You know, it was just like madness up in there. And she's a 19-year-old girl. She's not even a woman. She's still coming into her understanding and enlightenment as a woman, you know, and to see an icon like that, because at the time it was a split. It was a split going on in the Nation of Islam. And the enemy used that, you know, and that's why Black people, we can't have conflicts. And this is what I was taught. We can't have conflicts between religion and different groups. We can't have that because any chink in your armor, your enemy is going to come and attack that. So my mom just like pushed that, you know, straightforward, handle your business. You know, she raised me to watch those people that was around me, you know, to really pay attention to what's going on in your circle, especially if you're a bright person, because when you're a bright person, when you're one of them people, everybody know about you. The government knows about you.
Oh yeah.
The government recruit as early as college. See, sometimes with Black people, politicians, and these people that's in these positions, they were recruited by these people in their senior, junior, and senior years of high school. You didn't see them until they was grown, but they was already groomed. And they not with you. You see what I'm saying? So when you look at a cat like Malcolm, Malcolm was for his people. And he didn't mince his words. So that's what my mother raised me on. And my father raised me on, those ideals, you know. And some people didn't have those ideals, you know. Some people were from the South. My family is, well, majority of our family is from the South.
Yeah.
The South was different.
I think everyone has a down south somewhat.
Yeah, that's how you trace your lineage to that's where you at. You know, and once you start studying and really getting in depth, I'm talking about as an adult, you know, because a lot of the people, you got friends right now that you friends with, that you only friends with them right now because y'all was childhood or when y'all went to school. If you met that person as an adult, you wouldn't even kick it with them. And you probably don't kick it with them now, you know, and that's the beauty of it, you know. We set the tone. When them sweatshirts came out, Because I know the person who created his Malcolm X t-shirt. When them sweatshirts came out, man, that was impactful. That was powerful.
Definitely was.
You know, hip hop, man, you gotta give a hand to hip hop back in the 80s, in the 70s and the 80s. From Melly Mel through KRS through Public Enemy. You gotta give, you know, they really kept our icons on our breath. You know, they kept our icons on our breath. You know, like our parents, but it was in our music.
Yeah.
It was in our music in the 60s, in the 70s, and the 80s, and the 90s. It was in our music. You know, this is the first generation and era that our music is suppressed.
Yeah.
You suppress the word. That's how you get the word out. You know, Dancing in the Streets. That was a song about rebellion on Motown. You know, and Barry Gordy, you know, if you know anything about Barry Gordy, he wasn't trying to attack it like that. That's what Marvin Gaye had conflict with him. You know, so, you know, you got people that go along to get along, but, you know, to go back to what you asked me about my mother and my father and my parents, man, they just instilled that love from me, being black, in me.
And this is what we're gonna do.
I have a question real quick. Did your mom ever or your dad ever reflect on how they felt about the nation after, you know, Malcolm died? Like, just knowing that the nation allowed somebody to come in and do that?
Well, a lot of things went down during them times, and there was a huge split. You had a lot of things going on. Some stuff I can't get in depth to because that'd be a whole nother chamber. Mm-hmm. But that was the beginning of the breakup of a solid unit. Now you got to remember that the nation was created in 1930. Mm-hmm. So this is their 30, you know, they not even 100 years old, you know. So a lot happened within that time, you know, personal feelings and everything happened. How Elijah Muhammad's son, Wallace, came in, and it was a split between the nation. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of things that went on. So you had people that was still with the nation, you had people that was with Malcolm, and then you had people that was with Elijah Muhammad's son. So you had these three things, and then out of that, you had the 5% nation that came out of that.
Clarence 13.
Yes. So you have a lot of offshoots and separations going on. And to be honest with you, to me personally, it did more damage than it did good, because it drove a wedge in between people, and then people started choosing sides. And you can't choose sides in your evolution, your revolution.
I agree, brother. And you know, I mean, you talked off line before about just how our families, you know, kind of parallel a little bit.
Yes.
And I've always kind of looked at it like, if we would have paid attention to a government structure, not American government, just a governmental structure, we would have been so far, you know, because you can have different leaders, just like you got different generals. Mm-hmm. And then you can have an army and a level of an army. So when, like, you had the Panthers, you had the NOI, you had the NOI, the FFYL, you know, the MGT, you know, you had all these structures where it could have been, you could have had a good government, even with the differences. But for somebody to allow us to be separate, even though we look the same, it did hurt us. It hurt us bad. You know, and no disrespect to, you know, Imam Wardine, no disrespect to Clarence 13X, no disrespect to, like, you know, Elijah Muhammad's family, nor Malcolm or Hajj Malik El Shabazz family, you know, but it's like we were great minds. It was a great source of power, and to separate it, it almost was like greed.
Well, if you don't know the backstory of it coming from an outside looking in, mm-hmm. you will think that, you know, these people were still in unison. You know, in who they were. But when you allow outside forces to manipulate the chessboard,
Yes.
and you have to remember, America is one of the most powerful, it's the most powerful media out there.
Yeah.
So like I said, when you allow them, they will push narratives. You know, they will push narratives. It's just like today with gang violence and everything.
As
They
well as our-
push the
Yeah,
separation.
and as well as our people willing to take $1 to sell each other out.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
willing to take false promises to sell each other out.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that in itself, you can be the next, you know, it's like.
What happened is, and I'm glad you said that. What happened is, you have a group of people in the government called the Congressional Black Caucus. They're garbage. And what has happened in the 1960s, you had revolutionaries come over here, like Harry Belafonte, Stokely Carmichael. There was a lot of revolutionaries that came over here, and they stopped them. And when you started seeing the people that came in from the Africa and the Caribbean, they already vetted them and gave them this notion that the American black man was lazy. Impossible when we built this country. The thing is that we was no longer standing as willing victims. So they had to bring people that look like you. So it's been over the last 5 to 10 years that people started vetting people, and once again going back to, where's your people from? I should know where your people from.
That's how it used to be.
Where your people from? So when you talk about where your people from, oh, my people from the south side of Chicago, my people from Brooklyn. Well, where your people from? Oh yeah, they from Charleston, South Carolina. They from Raleigh, North Carolina. They from Tupelo, Mississippi. They from Alabama. You know what I'm saying? They from Texas. They from these places, and then you like, oh, word. So when you get to a person that can't trace their bloodline to the South or in the North, you know, they can't trace their bloodlines, because before the South became what it was, the first slave ports was in Boston and New York before they moved south into Virginia, and then when they settled into the southern states. So we was all up on them, you know, so you gotta understand. So what they did was bring in the black people from Haiti, the black people from Africa, the black people from Jamaica, you know, and they pitted them against us. That's who they gave tenure to, the jobs to. That's unacceptable. You see, especially when they become divisive and a weapon against us. You think they look like you, but nah. So then you be like, where your mama from? Where your daddy from? You know, it's just like Barack Obama. You know, a lot of people love him, but Barack follows from Africa. His mother was Caucasian. They can't trace their thing to what our struggle is.
Right.
You know, a lot of people don't know that Memorial Day was started by black people in 1865 on May 2nd. That was the first Memorial Day before the holiday got taken over. It was started in Charleston, South Carolina. You know, the first shot of the Civil War was in Charleston, South Carolina. And if you go down, I advise everybody to, if you can, take a trip down. It's a very intricate type of city.
It is. I've been to Charleston.
You know, but what black people have to stop doing is reclaiming what we are. This is us right here. This is who we are, you know. And we're not immigrants. We didn't immigrate here. We came here on slave ships, which was about 3 to 6% of the people came here were slaves. Everybody else was already here. So you got to be mindful, calling yourself African American and anything else. You have to stand on who you are. And a lot of us are waking up right now. This is waves of awakening. And you can't expect things to happen from a people who not just was enslaved for since, you know, I go back to 1492 when the whole thing with the Moors. They made a promise in 1492 never to let black people rise again.
Yeah.
They made that in 1492 with the Crusades. And that was the beginning of white supremacy. That was it. So you can't expect the people who was being enslaved since 1492 to just pop out of something over the last 100 years.
Yeah.
I go back to Red Summer, 1919. You know, that was 100 years ago. Black Wall Street. I don't like to use the name Wall Street, but I use it as historical reference because we was the first thing ever sold on Wall Street out of New York was black people.
Yeah.
And black people, we never used slavery, oppression to get it. When you see a successful black person, you know they earned it. I don't give a care what it is. You know, they earned it. And I ain't talking about the ones you put proper up. Those, you know, they're a dime a dozen. I'm talking about people that got it out the mud. You know, and that's what we got to do. You know, we still have problem with access to capital right now. Because if you can keep a people poor, oh, you can control them. Not only control them, you can make them do whatever they want to do. You want them to do, and drive them down. And that was the example of Malcolm. Because Malcolm came from that. Meaning,
the chessboard thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
A second ago, somebody controlled the chessboard.
Yeah, and what made Malcolm even more powerful is like when you come from a church family or a religious background, you have a certain part about you that's this. Malcolm came from, you know, the streets. And everybody that saw Malcolm on the streets saw who he was and knew who he was. And when he made that transition to clean himself up, that's what scared the Caucasian, was the black men. And I haven't talked about the women yet because I'm talking about the men. Let you know that white ice isn't colder. And I don't know if you guys heard my definition of racism, but I'm gonna give you my definition of racism right now. White supremacy, racism, white supremacy. It's the white man's power over the black man, physically and economically, and more so economically. And with that power, he then is able to have power over black women and children with nobody stopping them. See, when you develop your economics, and that's what the name of the game is, we can liberate ourselves. As we get to the economics, you know. That's what they say, give me liberty or give me death. Yeah, give me liberty or give me death. Give me that. I'm not looking what these immigrants want because they trying to sneak into a country that they didn't build. And they here for the money. Some of them may be here for because of what they did in their homeland, but they here for the money. So
yeah, so let's and we'll definitely come back and talk more about that. It is 51 minutes after the hour. We're gonna come back and tap right back into that, okay?
yeah, man, this whole marching, man.
Like I said, to the sellouts giving it up one way or another, you be giving it up.
Yeah, definitely, man. But you know, we talk about Nat Turner like we knew him. We talk about Malcolm like we knew him. You know what I'm saying? It's just in your DNA, man. It's just you as a black person, you really have to suppress that for that not to come out. You see what I'm saying? You have to suppress that. And when Public Enemy was doing music like this, you gotta ask yourself why they destroyed Rakim. The system destroyed him. Rakim came out with the most powerful. Don't sweat the technique is probably hip hop's #1 album. Go back and listen to what Rakim was talking about in '92.
I just listened to that album.
Nigga, man.
And then, like, I remember Chuck was saying when they came, they was coming to kill the whole music. They was like, we coming to kill the industry.
Yeah.
And they was like, because the industry wasn't producing nothing that the people needed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cats, Daddy-O and Stuff the Sunny, they was like, it wasn't cool to get no record deal. They was like, we don't want no record deal.
Mm-hmm.
They was like, we still work jobs. They was like, that wasn't what we was doing it for. We was doing it for people, doing it for the street. It wasn't about making no money off it. It's like, and to speak to what you're saying about suppressing, that's why these cats got to keep buying stuff for themselves. They got to keep making themselves. Because it's like, dude, if you take 6 of your well-known rappers, well, that you can change the whole, you can build a nation. With 6 of your greatest rappers.
Well, you have to. I'm gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna go right back, and I'm not gonna switch it up. You look at Kendrick. Kendrick was the hottest thing since Fish Grease these last 2 years.
Yeah.
But what did they do to Kendrick? When he came in for the American Music Award, they gave it to Eminem. You can't tell me one Eminem song that was on the radio.
I don't know that shit.
You can't tell me nothing that Eminem did in 2024 going into 2025. You see, so when you look at these awards, this is what they create and this is what they do. So you can't get mad at when they give their award to them people.
But then like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, who won the award?
Exactly.
The award.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Who won their award? But that's the thing. They show you through their awards. Like,
because them didn't want their award either. Them don't like that.
yeah. And was like, you know, he knew they was using him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why he said he ain't never going back.
Yeah, that's why they was using him. And this is the thing they doing, like, come on, man, Elvis. You gotta remember, we wasn't even allowed to perform our music to the mid-'60s. We missed decades from the early 1900s into the mid-'60s of catalogs that we created, and we wasn't even able to make money off of this. So this is, listen.
Then one day, not this show, but we're gonna have to do a show where we talk about how they take a black person, drive through their community. Look at them. You better than them. You got talent. We don't have to be like them. Because there is no way in a historical time where there are more black millionaires than there has ever been in history than we are in this state. There is no reason why. There is no reason why that is the case when you got black billionaires. There's no way.
What we gonna talk about, y'all? What we gonna talk about?
Whatever you want to come up with, we'll just throw something out.
Economics.
Okay, let's say I was gonna say let's talk about economics, okay?
Okay, I got a few minutes, bro.
All right. That's why I was trying to keep it sort of whatever because I knew our time was short. All right. We are back. Let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about this economic thing. What's going on? What's popping?
Well, this economics supposed to be your #1 everything. You don't take a job now unless you're talking about what you're getting paid. And anything that the government, it's the government's responsibility to make sure that the people are straight. That's the role of the government. The government's supposed to be for the people, right? So, like my brother over here, Kane, was talking, I want him just to go, I don't want to even take his thought. He's talking about black millionaires. I want him to speak right now on that one.
Yeah, so I was saying when we were off air, it's just that there is no reason why there, at this point in life, in 2025, where there are more black millionaires than there has ever been in history, that the state of black culture is the way it is. There should be no reason why this is the case. Education, medicine, legal issues, it's like there is no reason. There is no reason. And if you are sitting somewhere and you watching these award shows and you listening to these people, you watching these videos and these kids throwing money in it, it's like, come on, man. come on, man. It's beyond ridiculous. And it's like to make money off music that's talking about destruction of people, whether it's your people, other people, anybody. It's like, and then flaunt it in the faces of the same people. It's like, come on, man. All the kids always talking about flexing this, flexing this, flexing that, flexing it. The biggest flex should be taking care of where you come from. That should be the biggest flex. The biggest flex should be building a neighborhood. The biggest flex should be making sure people eat. It's like, there's no way that me driving my humble vehicle past homeless people and I give them food and money, and somebody driving can brag about driving a Bentley or Rolls Royce, and they not helping where they come from, man. It's ridiculous.
Your biggest flex should be taking care of your body too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it should always be family, community, nation. Family, community, nation. Family, community, nation. We keep God above all that.
Well,
family, community, nation.
Well, what happens is, and this is the psychological damage that goes on, you are taught when you are black in school that as soon as you make it, you're gonna leave.
Mm-hmm.
That's how chaotic they keep it. They don't tell you, instill in you, yo, this is where you build. Who wants to, I put up a post the other day and I said, nothing great black came out of the suburbs. And people was like, well, I was born in the suburbs. Where was your grandmother born? Your grandmother wasn't born in the suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
Your grandmother and your grandfather and your great-grandfather was born right in the middle of these metropolitan cities.
Yep.
And that's the things that we have to hold value to where we are, because you can leave a black neighborhood now and it's getting gentrified, or they're hitting you with eminent domain, or they just outright taking it. So when you have value and you know that your ice is just as cold as colder, ain't nothing colder than a black person. We create the trend. Everything that you see out here, we set the tone on what fashion is going to be. We set the tone on what the criteria are going to be. And there's people that's making billions off of black creations. Multi-billions.
Billions off of you just wearing it,
Yeah.
and talking about it.
Yeah.
But still, that money still don't recycle back to
Yeah,
what they know.
we push other people's brands. And this is the beautiful thing that I like, though, but you do have a lot of black people that's building their own clothing lines right now. You have more black clothing lines out right now than at any time before. Black people made Gucci hot in the hood. Dapper Dan coming out of New York with the 80s rappers that was rocking when he was flipping Gucci and all the rest of that stuff. We was making it hot. We made Nike hot. We made all these things hot. So everything that we should be doing should be focused totally on our economics. Those people, those illegals or immigrants that you saw marching, they was marching for one reason: money, economics. And it's not a racial type of thing. It's not racism in that. Because when you ask those people how they identify on the census, they identify as white. On the census, you can identify as white. I don't care if you from India, I don't care where you from, they identify as white. And when you come in with that ideology, they're attaching themselves to the dominant society. So if it's not moving on no money type of thing, then you're not being bothered with it. You looking at, man, you just look at all the black basketball players that have come out of Chicago. That's $1 billion. They my God. So Chicago should
Rose alone could have cleaned up Inglewood.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about D Rose right now, that's what he's on. You see what I'm saying? That's his whole everything. If you listen to that brother talk, he's on it. But a lot of times, black people are frowned upon when they go straight for their community and everything. They call us divisive. That's what the label. When they look at us, we're supposed to be one big kumbaya.
Yeah.
everybody could come and get what they want to off of us. And then when we start locking ranks, they like, well, what's wrong with you guys?
Sounds like a
Reverse hate.
Yeah, so, I just want everybody that's out here listening today to really tap into who you are. That's what when the Most High take these things out your life, people, tap in. Don't be afraid to tap into who you are.
Definitely. Take a listen to this.
One of the first things that the independent African nations did was to form an organization called the Organization of African Unity. The purpose of our Organization of Afro-American Unity, which has the same aim and objective to point whoever gets in our war.
What you about to do?
Head back out to the suburbs. What you need?
I don't know. Just thinking about grabbing something to eat, man. Take Max back to the crib. Do some editing. That's all. I wasn't sure if you had time to hang out for a minute.
Yeah, I do like that. I'm gonna come back because I wanna. I ain't get a chance to watch that because I wasn't at my girl house last night. But as soon as I get over her house, I'm gonna go ahead and watch that.
Peace, y'all. We out of here.